the issue of this new policy on cars, that's locally made cars, and the federal government says that it wants to discourage importation and is hoping that locally manufactured cars will be sold for 1.2 million naira. Now, what I asked Mohammed was that is this realistic? And he says yes, it is realistic, looking at the law of demand and supply, because it will ensure that there's competition, healthy one for that matter, in the industry. But I'm sure a lot of people will want to know what kind of competition will actually make the price either come down or go higher.
Well, the auto industry is a very peculiar sector. It's a sector that is driven by volume. The past history of the assembly plants, which started in 1975, when Peugeot and Volkswagen plants were commissioned, did not reflect the level of volume expected to drive down prices. If we stick to the new policy and we're able to achieve desired volume, then the unit cost of the vehicles will drastically come down. Mm-hmm. Not only are we going to draw benefits from the lower prices, the linkage industries to the auto sector is so enormous that it will push up industrial production by as much as about 30 to 40%.
But then there's this argument that a fairly used car will still be better than this one being proposed by the government in terms of durability. Now, realistically looking at the options, does the sector have what it takes to win this argument?
My take on that is the consumers have a right to say yes, we want fairly used vehicles at lower prices. But the government, as an arbiter in the market, has a responsibility to the system. Simply because the nation of almost 170 million people, a landmass of more than 1 square kilometers, we cannot, under any circumstance, mortgage the future of transport logistics in this country to external factors. That is what has to inform the decision.
But then you see, that means that it's now up to the industry players, the local industry players, to ensure that these cars that will eventually be made are up to standard, are the same thing as what you get if you buy a fairly used car. In fact, even better. If not, we'll always have people wanting to buy fairly used cars. It doesn't matter how much tariffs are put on it.
I would say the issue of quality or standard in the assembly plant is a foregone conclusion. Because I used to work for Volkswagen, and I knew one of the best production units that came from that plant was Jetta. Jetta was up to date in terms of quality, and it was built by a fully Nigerian team, because the head of production when Jetta rolled out of the plant is a Nigerian. There was not a single expatriate on the production line. So, believing that, I think the issue of quality is not debatable.
Okay.
Whatever vehicles that rolled out of the 2 passenger plants, as is Peugeot and Volkswagen, sure the appropriate quality level will be achieved.
Now, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has set a target of 15 to 18% contribution to the country's GDP over the next 7 years. How realistic is this, and how does the association intend to achieve it?
Well, there are external issues involved, and that's why our dialogue with government is a consistent one. It's desirable for us to move production capacity up. It's very important to drop unsold inventory. It's also important that we contribute the expected quota of employment from that sector to the general economy. This is where government comes in. Yes, as an investor, you can put money on ground, but if the environment external to your business are not put in proper perspectives, the entire investment can go down the drains. Mm-hmm. We've seen and witnessed this in quite a number of industrial sectors. We are concerned, and we believe that the posture of the current government is encouraging. The latest automotive policy is one example you can quote, because it requires quite some political boldness to take this on. Prior to this policy, automobile imports are topped Nigerian imports bill. That's a very sad note in our economic planning and management. Before 2009, chemicals import used to be number one on our import bill. Of course, you should not expect to drink acid. When chemicals are coming in, it's quite obvious that there will be value addition to other elements to make that import justifiable. That means production is on. But when we switch number one position for chemicals and automobile imports top the list, that's a danger signal.
That's true. Now,
so we believe the approach of the government in a few areas, the automotive policy is one, like I said. If the auto plants are able to show up the production level and achieve the required volume, there will be new synergy link with paint industry, with rubber industry, with electrical cable industry. There are more than 2,000 components that make a car. So if the desired volume is achieved, for example, if you are automotive windscreen manufacturer, or let's take tire, which is quite popular. Tire is a replaceable item. If the production plants are able to do, let's say, 200,000 units a year, automatically what we are expecting from the tire industry is 1 million units of tires. Because every car must come out with 5 tires.
Now, still speaking about all of these, for most of this year, there were a lot of conferences and events for virtually all the sectors. Everybody was active in trying to come together to bring solutions, prefer solutions, practical solutions that can be used. Now, we all know about the World Trade Organization meeting that was held in Bali, Indonesia, very recently. And according to what they said, the Minister of Trade and Investment was very instrumental in what they decided to be part of the packages that they put forward that all 160 members agreed to. Now, one of such agreement was the trade liberalization, which will actually ease off the bottlenecks associated with import and export of goods. Now, is this cherry news for the manufacturing sector here in Nigeria? Let's start with you, Mohammed.
Well, normally when you have all these global policies, they are being put in place to ease trade among countries. But that still does not stop each country from addressing its own realities, and to ensure that, yes, while you are giving credence to what the global policy is saying, you also need to take care of your own peculiarities, So we have always had all these policies in the past, and yet it hasn't stopped other countries like China and India from having domestic policies that have actually gingered up a lot of industrial production locally. So it's a question of being realistic and asking yourself, hey, what is my own immediate challenge that I need to put in place today, so that looking at another 10, 20 years, I can say, okay, I am beginning to optimize my economy. I'm beginning to have employment. Because remember, that is the biggest issue. All these other issues are just a means to an end. The real issue is, how do you engage this teeming number of people